My dad bought a lighthouse? What?
No, it's interestingly enough, I was in around high school age, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I really started to take a liking into Michigan lighthouses. It was actually some lighthouses up near Sheboygan, 14-foot shoal light in particular, and that was just, to me, it was just the most amazing thing. The thought that there was actually people that lived out there, you know, on a little rock, basically in the middle of the lake. Then in 1994, a gentleman by the name of John Wagner came out with a coffee table book, this beautiful book, aerial perspective of Michigan lighthouses. And White Shoal was always, you know, interesting because it was so enormous, and the paint job again. It's like, that's cool, you know, I wonder where that's at, so I go check it out. But I never did get out to actually see it on a boat until 2016. And that was the same year that bidding started for the lighthouse. How did it come about that I ended up buying the lighthouse? First of all, I co-own it, so a good friend of myself, we're both contractors here in Michigan. And I had been kind of following along this auction that was going on online, and I said, hey Mike, you know, are you interested in buying a lighthouse? And he figured I was joking. We, you know, sat around, had some burgers, and next thing you know, I'm showing him pictures of everything. And he's like, yeah, I think we ought to at least, you know, bid on it and see what happens. So one thing led to another, and by September of 2016, the bidding was coming to a close. So when the day came that the auction was going to close, that's when the bidding really heated up. It was pretty stressful, and we ended up with it. So that's where we're at now. We're kind of in the process of restoration now. I'll never forget it. I think we were sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner here at our home in Traverse City, and I basically, after we were all done eating, I think I brought out a print of the lighthouse, and I laid it on the table, and I'm like, what do you guys think of this? It's a pretty cool lighthouse, eh? And then I said something like, yeah, Mike and I just bought it, and there was silence. And I don't think my dad slept at all that night. He came back the next morning to breakfast and had all these ideas about buying a tugboat, and one thing led to another, and yeah, we've got so many irons in the fire now, it's just hard to, you know, pick which ones we're gonna do next.
It felt like surreal. Like he just, one day after Thanksgiving, we were sitting around and he just broke the news. Jaw to the floor, I was like, what are you talking about? You're buying a lighthouse? And yeah, he was buying a lighthouse with his friend Mike or something. I didn't even know what to think. I was like, I mean, I was excited obviously, but I was also really like, I didn't even believe it was real at first.
1908 is when they began building it, and it took them roughly 2 years to complete. So, and it was a huge project back then. You got to remember, this was many years before the Mackinac Bridge, which was a big project too. But just to be able to go out and work in the lake in those conditions, where the wind can pick up, waves can pick up on a moment's notice. And the lighthouse itself was actually pre-assembled in a bridge working yard in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Then they basically covered it all in bricks, and then concrete, and then painted it. I think it was white originally, and then it was black for a while in the 1930s, and the ship's captains kept complaining that certain days they couldn't see it. So by 1954, the Coast Guard decided that they were going to give it its most famous paint job, which it still has today, which is the red and white candy stripe spiral. And that basically rocketed that light into fame. It's a huge job. I mean, basically, it's like doing a 11-story building on shore, only you're in the middle of the lake where the conditions are 10 times harder. So everything that we have to take out there goes out by boat. We can only go out certain times of the year, obviously. And then there's certain days we can't go out at all because of the wind and the waves. So we have to be able to approach the structure, pull up alongside of it, tie up, lift off all of our gear, all of our personnel, just to be able to get on it to safely work. So it's a challenge, and we knew that going into it. That was part of what really, especially for me, that was part of the draw of the entire project. I wanted something that was just seemingly impossible to do, and we definitely got more than we bargained for on that. So, well, in 20 years, I mean, my lifetime, there's so much work to do. It's so overwhelming that, you know, I would love to say, yeah, in my lifetime it'll be totally restored back to maybe like what it was during the 1940s or 50s vintage. But we're talking millions of dollars, and since we're kind of financing this on our own, that'll probably never happen in my lifetime. So my goal is basically just keep it from getting worse, maintain it, and then hope future generations will want to take it over from where I left off and see it see it through to its full restoration. But who knows? You never know. We might have somebody that comes along and has deep pockets, says, hey, you guys want a couple extra million to put in this lighthouse, and we're not going to necessarily say no. But that's basically where we're at. It's time and money, more money than time.
As a kid, I always liked boating, and I always had a passion for like the Great Lakes and being out on the water. But like the lighthouse like amplified that like 10 times, because we're going out there 3 months out of the year, always in the summer. Had plenty of work to do out there, so we were constantly boating back and forth, getting materials and all that, and it just kind of made me appreciate boating and being out on the water more, especially the Great Lakes.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other people that work on the actual light, we actually host volunteer sessions. So in the summertime, we have week-long sessions. We have people, groups of 5 or 6 people that come out with us to the lighthouse and spend a week. We usually train them for the first day on safety and everything. And then we divide up into groups of 2 or 3 and usually set them off into different projects. On our website, preservewhiteshoal.org is a good place to check out. We try to update that often. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can go to our Facebook page, our White Shoal Light Historical Preservation Society. That's probably where we're the most active as far as announcements. But basically, it'll lead you to the website. And there's an application period, typically in the winter months, January, February, where we'll send out applications. You can apply, and you got by a certain date to get your application in. And then we have the selection process. And then from mid-August to mid-September, we're doing paid guests. So we're actually opening up the structure to overnight stays for people that are basically paying, they're donating money basically to come out and stay, to have, they're not going to be doing any work. Just to stay and experience it, and we use those funds to go back into the restoration.
Well, like my dad said, it's there's a lot of work to do on that lighthouse. So much needs to be done, and like you said, in his lifetime, even past his lifetime, there's still gonna be stuff to be done. So it means a lot to me, because I know it's his passion, it's my passion, something we're both passionate about. And I think it's something that's going to be passed down for generations in my family. And I'm very excited to see how it goes and see how it unfolds. And I've actually bonded a lot with my dad over it. It's something that, just connects us in a much deeper way. So